I wish I had a list of spells and abilities each vocation learned, but unfortunately that information wasn't available to me when I started. So I decided to level every single job and write down when I learned each of them so you could have a better experience. And with that out the way, let's get into this, yeah? We'll be going down the list starting with the tank of the game, Warrior. Cop Out is the ability we get out of the box. This has a 60% chance of reflecting the enemy's attack back at them, 20% chance to reflect it to an ally, and 20% chance it'll just fail. This was an okay ability, but I hardly use it during the mid and late game. The next ability we get is Whipping Boy. This takes all the damage for one teammate of your choice. Great to cover damage from someone that's low on HP. Our first damaging skill is Mercurial Thrust. It lets us attack an enemy before anyone, most of the time. It's quick attack from Pokemon. Very useful when you know an enemy will die to prevent any further damage from them acting before you, or when you're slime farming and they're about to run away. Double Edge Slash is our next attack. It does great damage, but we take a percentage to our HP. Be mindful as you can kill yourself using this. Pressure Pointer is very interesting. It does low damage, but there's a 12.5% chance it'll just kill the target. Another great tool when slime farming. Forbearance is the quintessential tank ability. This is Whipping Boy, but for every ally. It helps save MP as you only have to heal one person, rather than everyone, especially when party-wide heal is so rare to come by. Sword Dance is very interesting. It hits 4 times against any enemy for 75% of your normal attack damage. If used on a single target, then it'll hit them all 4 times for massive bursts. Metal Slash is a special attack. It does more damage to metal enemies, mostly used to help slime farms go easier as you will be doing 2 damage instead of the normal 1. Multi-Slice is very good. This allows you to attack every single enemy regardless of their group. Perfect for softening up the enemies or getting that killing blow. Our last ability is Cutting Edge. Naturally we think the last skill we get is the best, but that's not the case here. It does 200 damage of our melee attack, which is very good when you need to focus down a single target, or for anyone trying to get a screenshot number. Now when fighting a single target, Sword Dance does do more damage overall, even if only 3 of the 4 hits connect. The next vocation you could pick is Martial Artist. Our first skill is Leg Sweep. If it succeeds, you trip the enemy, making them miss a turn. This can be very good when you need breathing room to heal or set up. It doesn't work against flying enemies, however. Good thing Flying Knee takes care of those enemies. It does 50% more damage against flying targets. Hawkeye Claw is very good. It will never miss and pierces an enemy who is defending, making it always deal good damage. If you're bedazzled, don't fret as you could still output great damage without the fear of missing. An early staple when farming slimes as they do have high evasion. Wind Sickle is our first elemental attack. It deals wind damage, so use it against enemies weak to wind for the full value. Knuckle Sandwich is our first powerful attack. It does 200 more damage from our melee attack, but it has a 20% chance to miss. Double Up is an alternative if you don't like missing. It'll deal 200% damage from our melee attack, but you take 20% more damage for that turn. It's great for finishing off targets when you know the negative won't affect you. Our first group attack is a Roundhouse Kick. The first target takes full damage, and it reduces each subsequent target. It does 1 damage to all slimes, which is great. Multi-Fist is just like Sword Dance from Warrior. It hits all enemies but only 4 times. This means when used on a single target, you get all 4 hits on them for some great burst damage. Our second non-damaging ability is a Ripple of Disruption. This gets rid of any buff an enemy decides to give themselves. Critical Claim is one of the strongest abilities in the game. You will always critically hit an enemy, and it never misses. This obliterates any slime for a guaranteed kill. Up next is our dark-wielding magic user, Mage. We start off with Frizz, which is a fire elemental attack. Our first utility is Buff. This will increase any ally's defense by 100%. Great to use on Warrior or the hero. Our second offensive magic is Crack. This is like Frizz, but the ice element. Sizz is our first group attack. It's Frizz, but now it hits a whole group of enemies. Evac is our first map utility. It allows us to exit any battle area to the starting point. Great to use when you're done exploring an area or your priest may have died. Kabuff is buff, but for every ally. It's only 33% on the first use, but it can stack up 3 times for the full benefits of 100%. Bang is a better AoE attack. It attacks every enemy instead of just a group of enemies. Zoom is evac but better. It allows you to go to any landmark on the map. Once again, it's great to use if you're done with a dungeon or you're low on resources. I often went back home and let mom heal me for free. Decelerate lowers a group of enemies' agility. This is great when the enemy's faster and they may kill someone before you can heal them. Sizzle is a stronger sizz. Drain magic takes MP from the enemy and gives it to you. It's capped at 5 unfortunately. Our single target got better with Frizzle. It's frizz but stronger. Peep allows you to see if any treasure chest is a mimic. Mimics can be very tough early on, so this could be handy. Safe Passage allows us to walk on poison or electric panels without taking any damage. Crackle is a group-wide crack. Oomph increases an ally's attack by 100%. This is one of the best offensive buffs in the game, and it'll make boss fights a lot easier. Boom is a better bang. Bounce is very interesting. It will reflect back any spell cast on the target to the enemy or ally. This is great to protect them from damage, but they also cannot receive heals via spells. You can still use items or abilities to top them up. Buffs also won't apply to them, so be mindful. TikTok is such an amazing skill for those night and day exclusive monsters. Crack is a huge buff, as now it can attack every single enemy rather than just a group. Fuddle is our first status ailment. It can confuse an enemy, making them hit their own allies. It also has good synergy with the Teeth. Kasiz is a stronger sizzle. Sheen is one of the most interesting spells for a black mage. It can remove any status ailment on an ally. This is something you normally see on a white mage. Crackle is a better crack. Fade turns us invisible. It's great to capture some monsters that like to run away or to get past that guard in Adina. Poof is our first 2-turn attack. The first turn you'll transform into a dragon, and the second turn you'll do a fiery breath. I mostly use this to kill slimes as it does ignore their defense. Click allows you to open any door as if you had the ultimate key. Kafrizz is a stronger frizzle. Morph allows you to copy any ally. This is actually really good. You copy all their stats, so if you give one ally the best equipment, then you technically have 2 allies with this. Great to replicate on a DPS so you could do more damage, or on a support to make you almost unkillable. Kaboom is a stronger boom. Hocus Pocus is our first gamble spell. It has a pool of both positive and negatives to pick from. Think Bewildering Grace from Octopath Traveler. The Holy White Magic user is next. Priest. Heal is a single target heal we start off with. Poof gets rid of a group of enemies. It doesn't give you any experience or gold when doing so, but it can be handy when you're getting clapped. Accelerate increases the group speed by 33%. It could stack 3 times for 100%. Great for going before the enemy so you could heal your allies in time before the enemy outspeeds you and kills them. Dazzle is our first status ailment. It lowers a group of enemies' accuracy by 50%. Sap is our second status debuff. It lowers an enemy's defense by 33%, which can stack 3 times for 100%. An excellent spell in allowing your whole team to deal more damage. Snooze does as you imply. It puts a group of enemies to sleep. This is great to buy time when fighting multiple groups of enemies. It also has good synergy with the Thief. Squelch is our first status ailment cleanse. It gets rid of poison on any ally. Whoosh is our first offensive spell. It does wind damage to a group of enemies. Fizzle silence a group of enemies. This prevents them from casting magic, which can be very beneficial as most monsters have access to the same spells we do. Mid-heal is a better heal. Tingle is our second status ailment cure. It gets rid of paralysis. Cock-a-doodle-doo does as you may imply. It wakes up all allies who are sleeping. Kasap is sap, but for a group of enemies. Blasto is poof, but single target. Whack is an insta-kill spell. You do get experience when it happens. Zing revives an ally with 50% HP sometimes. It's not guaranteed it'll work, so be mindful when using in combat. Swoosh is a better whoosh. Twack is a better whack, but for a group of enemies. Full heal does as it implies. It heals an ally to 100% HP. Insulatal reduces breath damage by 33%. This is great as enemies in the mid and late game love to use these. It is to be noted that it does not stack with armor or shield effects. Multi-heal is our first party-wide heal. Kaswoosh is a stronger swoosh. Kazing raises an ally 100% of the time. Kamikaze does as it may imply. It kills the user with a chance to kill every enemy. It's twack, but better. Back to our ability users with the Merchant. Stone Throw is our first skill. It hits every single enemy for a max of 20-ish damage. Great in the early game when your stats are low. It'll always deal 1 damage, so it makes slime farming easier. Muster Strength is our first buff. It'll increase our next attack by 250%. Notice how I said attack, it does not apply to our abilities. Dig is interesting to say the least. You mostly get single-digit gold from using it. If you're lucky, you could get half of the gold you currently have. Sometimes you will get an item the area has. It's free, so you may as well try your luck and see if RNG's on your side. Service Call is another interesting gimmick. You could summon an inn so you could sleep for 100 gold per member, a church so you could use all features except saving, or the last weapon or armor shop you visit. Helichopter is our first group attack. While it only targets a group, it'll hit all of them for 150% of your normal attack damage. Call to Arms summons 4 mercenaries. It's like Multi-Fist from Martial Artists, where it'll attack 4 random enemies. It does great damage when used on a single target, as it doesn't factor in your attack stat or the enemy's defense stat. Be aware of your goal as it can deplete quickly when using this. The most interesting job of the game, Gadabout. Sobering Slap is a status ailment cure for an ally, whether they're sleeping, confused, or paralyzed with fear. A great skill when it decides to use it in your time of need. Whistle puts you in a battle. While this normally sounds bad when exploring a new area or trying to progress the game, it's amazing for farming. Reducing the amount of steps you need to enter battle to 0 is a massive time saver. Kerplunk Dance kills yourself but revives all your allies to full HP. This is an amazing clutch ability when your healer gets sniped and the run would have been over. Spooky Aura is our first debuff. It lowers an enemy's resistance by 20% to all magic, so you can deal more damage. Egg On is for our physical attack damage dealers. This is Muster Strength from Merchant, but for any ally. Harvest Moon is our first AoE attack. It hits all enemies, which is fantastic in assisting our allies when it goes off. Hustle Dance is a party-wide heal. It's just like multi-heal from Priest. Channel Anger is another magical buff. It'll increase the next spell by 50%. Back to some consistency with Thief. Sandstorm is like Dazzle from Priest, but better. It's 63% accuracy down. Sleepy Slap is a very good. It does damage and can sometimes put the enemy to sleep. Damage and defense utility in one? Sometimes. Propeller Blade is a very unique. It does damage once and then a second source of damage that is wind element. Shocking Slash does damage while sometimes paralyzing the enemy. A paralyzed enemy can't do anything, making it our second offensive and defensive ability in one. Nose for Treasure is amazing. It tells you how many items are obtainable in the area, whether it's in a treasure chest or an invisible item on the ground. Assassinate Stab is Pressure Pointer from Warrior. You can instantly kill an enemy 12.5% of the time. Great for slime farming. Padded Foot is our second map ability. It lowers the odds of encountering an enemy for the next 128 steps. It's like Repel from Pokemon. Snoop is another map ability. This time it'll show all obtainable items in range as sparkles. Hypno Whip is our third damaging status ailment. It hits a group of enemies and can sometimes confuse them. Another fantastic skill for slime farming. Persecutor will deal 600% more damage if the target is sleeping or confused. Like I said earlier, this synergizes perfectly with the Mage's Fuddle or the Priest's Snooze. Backdraft is our unique counterattack. It will reflect back any breath attack for one turn. It's tricky to pull off, but with proper fight knowledge, this can be very strong. The newest vocation, Monster Wrangler. Tongue lashing is like leg sweep from martial artists, but it affects flying enemies too. Soothing Song is a party-wide heal. This is very good considering the stronger party heals are only available way later in the game. Animal Instinct allows you to know if a monster is in the area to recruit. It works for the whole area you're currently at. So if a dungeon has 3 floors, it'll detect any monster on any floor. If none is currently available for recruiting, it's probably the time of day. So change between day, dusk, and night. Emergency Groom is as it may imply. It's a better single target heal from priests. It's also funny to imagine the Monster Wrangler rushing over to lick us. Or maybe brush us. Attack Attacker is our first attack down stat debuff. It'll do some damage and lowers the enemy's attack by 33%, stacking 3 times for 100%. A fantastic ability when learning a new fight. Warcry is tongue lashing, but for all enemies. Tongue bashing is tongue lashing and sap combined. It could stack 3 times so you could get to 100% way faster. Fire Breath is our first AoE attack. It's like Sizzle from Mage, but for all enemies. Boulder Toss is a much stronger Stone's Toss from Merchant. Burning Breath is tongue lashing, but for every single enemy. Cold Breath is a stronger Fire Breath with way more damage. If you're lucky, the enemy will be frozen buying you a turn. After capturing 3 creatures, you will unlock Call of the Wild. This is like Call of Arms from Merchant, but it doesn't cost gold. After capturing 10 monsters, you will get Monster Pylon. It's like Call of the Wild, but stronger. Every time you capture more creatures, it'll deal more damage. Remember, the damage isn't based off your attack stat or the enemy's defense stat, so this is actually the strongest skill in the game. After capturing 30 creatures, you will get Lashing of Loves. It'll deal 50% more damage to humanoid enemies. After capturing 50 monsters, you will get Wild Side. This allows you to act twice. Pair this with Monster Pylon, and you will decimate every single boss. After capturing 80 monsters, you will get Hocus Pocus. This regens 16 MP per turn. After capturing 100 monsters, you will get Fog of War. It creates a zone where spells cannot be used by you or the enemy. Use this wisely, and you could shut down a lot of bosses. The only vocation you can pick at the start of the game, Sage. It unfortunately doesn't get anything unique, so consider looking at the Mage or Priest as it'll learn their skills at the same level. Hopefully you found this guide helpful, and if there's any unanswered questions, then ask down below. And if you enjoyed this video, consider checking out this one right here. Until the next video, I'll see ya.